Hi, I'm Roger Monder and welcome to Breaking Ground. This week we're going to talk about the state of the berry industry here in the province. First, we're off to Deadman's Bay, where the natural Newfoundland landscape lends itself well to the commercial production of cranberries. New technologies and new approaches are making a new industry happen in this province. It is also a good example of government and private enterprise working together to create new opportunities for rural Newfoundland. Then we're off to have a look at a successful blueberry business in Victoria, Conception Bay. You can't get a more natural product than freshly picked blueberries from the barrens of Newfoundland. Wallace Budden has expanded this enterprise from a local endeavor to one that regularly ships products to Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. Strawberry U-picks have popped up all over the province in recent years. The Thornlea farm in Campbellton is a good example of what it takes to make it work. We'll have a visit and a chat with the owners as they talk about the perils and pleasures of operating a strawberry farm. This week, Monique Tobin will speak to dairy farmer Robert Walsh. The dairy industry has explored some secondary processing, but has a long way to go in order to reach its potential. Both Monique and Robert will discuss marketing, expansion, and outside processors. I'm sure you're going to stay tuned. Believe me, it'll be well worth it. We'll see you after this short break. Now it's off to Deadman's Bay to have a look at a government cranberry enterprise that has already caught the eye of several local farmers.
Processing berries by cleaning, grading and packaging them is not an unusual sight in Newfoundland and Labrador. What's unusual about the picture you're looking at is the type of berry being processed and the volume that is being put through the system. These are cranberries. They grow naturally here in the province, but these cranberries are the result of a 5-year project to cultivate and farm them on a large commercial scale. Dick Orme, the project's manager, explains how it all got started.
Well, around 1997 we went out and purchased some plant material from the United States and began propagating those plants to start an industry in Newfoundland. At the same time, we started to do our site development work on sites like the one here in Deadman's Bay to have them ready to be planted, and by 1999 we put our first plants in the ground. Then we just did the engineering, got the backhoes in, put the ditches in, and brought the equipment in to start to perfectly level the field surface of the peat, and built the dikes around the field, and the fields are from 1 to 3 acres in size.
It was a wait-and-see situation for a period of time. But finally, the process began to unfold as it should, revealing a growing and harvesting operation not seen in Newfoundland before.
The harvesting of cranberries is very unique to most fruit, and to get the volume of fruit off the field for the markets that we focused on, we do what we call a wet harvest, where we flood the fields, put 6 or 8 inches of water on top of the fruit, and the cranberries act as little bobbers. You know, they want to float to the top, and we have a machine that we walk through the field that beats the fruit off the plant, and we establish a boom around the perimeter of the field so that when that fruit all floats to one corner, we can boom it up and bring it to our elevator that then moves the fruit into totes, and they go off to the processing plant. The economic side of this, of course, we've worked on the research cultural practices, and now have ironed out that we can grow them there, which was the major barrier to success to begin with, and we're working now to streamline the activities so that it is an economical crop. We will harvest this year off of 22 acres somewhere between 200 and 250,000 pounds. The secondary, the value to the primary producer is 40 cents a pound Canadian. So that amounts to somewhere around $7,000 to $8,000. That is off new fields coming into production. We expect the yield to increase somewhat over the next 2 or 3 years to possibly 20,000 pounds to the acre, which would increase the value of that crop. And the cost with cranberries, the cost of harvest is very cheap as compared to most other fruit, where harvest cost can tie up 50, 60, 70% of your gross income. The large cost with cranberries is the initial infrastructure to grow the crop. Mm-hmm. And the upfront capital. The time lag to your first production is 4 to 5 years. So you incur the major capital cost in year 1, and your first income comes 4 or 5 years. So that to me right now is the major obstacle to commercialization, is balancing how we address that issue. The marketing, of course, with any new crop was an issue at the beginning, and we've worked on the marketing as soon as the first fruit came 3 or 4 years ago. We worked with Rodriguez Wineries in developing a wine from cranberries, and he now purchases some of the fruit from our producers. We got Indian Bay Frozen Foods, who's a secondary processor, interested a couple of years ago into cleaning and freezing the product, and right now he's offered to buy that company has offered to buy all the fruit that's produced in Newfoundland, and does the retailing to the value-added people.
Now we go from cranberries to blueberries. We're off to Victoria Conception Bay to have a look at how Newfoundland blueberry finds its way to the shelves of supermarkets in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal.
Wallace Budden of Victoria is a firm believer in the wholesomeness of a freshly picked blueberry from the barrens of Newfoundland. He also knows not only how to get that fresh berry to the local Newfoundland market, but also to the Toronto market.
Well, we get an order, usually Toronto phones about 4 o'clock in the evening before they want to. We know if they want 2 pallets of berries, then the next morning we know how much berries we want. Okay, if the picker comes in, and we know we got 10 pickers going in the field at that day, we will say, look, we got 2 pallets to go out to Toronto. Now you fellas got to pick this much berries. They will go in the fields, pick this much berries, and bring it back here, and we'll clean it. There's no hand-picked berries, there's all raked. And these guys just exactly know how to pick berries so they don't squat them or don't destroy the berries. And we bring them back here to the building. We put them through our state-of-the-art equipment we got here. We have quality control people. No berries gets through her eyes or through these 2 girls' eyes without they looking at it, and I can't overrule them. And if they say no, it's not going through, it's not going through. I would like probably overrule them, like sometimes overrule them, because it's money for me. But it's no, they say no, it don't go.
Wallace knows well that his blueberries can fetch a good price in Toronto, Montreal, or Ottawa. Here's how it all came about.
And so I started the fish market, and eventually it got good. I sold a lot to St. John's. Each year was getting more and more and more. So I said, geez, Toronto must be a lot of Newfoundlanders in Toronto, and they like the berries. So I went for some help from the government to get some money to packaging and things like that to send to Toronto, and they told me I was crazy. Blueberries was a bad traveler. It would be jam when I got it there. I thought differently than they did, and I went ahead anyway. And not taking no for an answer. I said, I'm going to go put berries in Toronto, and I got more and more orders. And then I went to Montreal and Ottawa. We also send berries out to Hibernia, and we supply all Newfoundland right now.
But there's more than one way to grow and market blueberries. Martin Walsh of Colliers leans more towards the farming of blueberries, which gives a larger volume of berries per acre, thus opening up larger markets. His approach is land levelling.
To burn with straw or to burn with oil costs basically $200 an acre to burn. Once I land level my fields, so I can mechanically prune. I can mechanically prune basically for $25 an acre. But in the meantime, it costs on an average of $1,000 an acre to land level. But once that's done, it's a one-time thing. So by land leveling, I can mechanically prune and I can mechanically harvest it. Right now, for me to hand rake my fields, it's cost me on an average of 30 cents a pound to harvest. Mechanically, I can get that down to 10, and that's the answer to it.
Tony Mulrooney, field manager for the Blueberry Development Corporation, explains why and how a land leveling approach works.
He's doing land leveling, we call it, and there's different ways you can land level, but the best way to land level is called double tracking. Basically what he's doing is loosening up the soil without hurting the organic mat on the top part. If you hurt the organic mat, this is where your rhizomes are and your blueberry plants are, then they won't grow back, they'll get damaged. So you have to do it and loosen the soil up. Take out any rocks that's underneath that soil and take the rocks out, and then he'll track over it with his tracks, and he'll double track it, go over it twice. So then basically your end product should be pretty close to a golf course. The blueberry plant, it's biannual, so it produces fruit every second year. So in order for the plant to get pruned, we call it pruning because there's different techniques of pruning the plant, such as burning. But we prefer to mow. It's more cost efficient and it's an easier way to do it. Today what we've seen was a Braggs mower. The reason why we're using that type of mower is because it's got the same setup as a mechanical harvester. That's the whole reason why we really land level, because at the end of the day, the cheapest, the most revenue that the farmer should get is by using mechanical harvester. So it's an added bonus. We could use all of our farm equipment on land leveled land. So pruning is the easiest way to prune the blueberry plant.
Why would someone in Toronto pay $5 a pound for Newfoundland berries?
The sweetest tasting berry in the world, the best looking berry in the world, and they know it come from Newfoundland.
I just love blueberries and cream. Another berry that goes well with cream is strawberries. And after this short break, we'll show you where you can pick some. Now we're going to take you to Campbellton to give you some insights into the running of a strawberry U-pick.
There's something about strawberry U-picks that is deceptively simple. There is basically one crop, other people pick them, and they pay you for the pleasure of doing so. But Rhonda Thornley paints a more realistic picture.
With strawberries, you need, well, we have a U-pick, and you need a parking lot for your customers, you need a pond to water your plants, irrigation systems. So you need parking lots, roads for customers to drive in, fields, and it's quite a lot of expense, and it's been slow building it because you have to provide everything. It's not just clearing an acre of land and growing a few berries. You have to have your roads in, your parking lots. So it's quite a lot of work, a lot of investment.
But the work and investment has attracted not only people who pick the berries, but also people who love the quiet and tranquility of the area.
Yes, the customers like it. Yeah, they can come in and sit down and pick their berries just like they're off all by themselves. It's not people all over the place like in the cities, and it's an escape. And they come with their families, and yeah, it's peaceful, and yeah, I guess it is an attraction. We've had, first when we started, we had a lady come from, her and her husband come from the United States, and she brought Newfoundland strawberries back to California. So she wrote me a letter, told me she was sitting in California eating Newfoundland berries, and she sent me some dates from California. And we've been writing now for 26 years. Twice a year she writes me, and I write her back.
And of course there's some other attractions which have just naturally happened.
Well, we have a few peacocks, and we started off with 2. I think we have about 13 or 14 now. And there's a few beds and breakfasts across the island with our peacocks in them, or in their gardens, attraction for their customers. And well, they're near our raspberry fields, so they're an attraction for the raspberry customers. And we have 3 Newfoundland ponies and a quarter horse. So youngsters like to watch them while they're picking.
Philip Thornley is a first-generation farmer, and it's the first generation that is saddled with the task of breaking new ground. But it's a task that has brought a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, it's been 25 years of hard work all through the summers, and yep, it is hard work. But once you get it established, you can see how nice it looks with all the rows of raspberries, and there's a lot of satisfaction in that. Well, we started off just seeing if strawberries would grow. So we planted a few rows of strawberries, and they did well, and we offered them for sale just on the roadside, and people enjoyed them. So we just said, well, let's try strawberries. So we cleared a bigger area, and we were selling things fresh. And then the demand for them grew to a point where people wanted to pick their own, and we could see a market there for that. And we put in roads and things like that people would need, and parking lots. And we ran U-Pick, and for a bunch of years that ran really well. There was a lot of people came in.
The strawberry lends itself well to a U-Pick situation, but there are other berries that bear a closer look.
Part of it is of educating the people in the area that they are available and they are here, and how to use them, because well, strawberries, it's obvious you can eat them raw, but the blackcurrant, they don't taste the best right off the bush for most people, but they make a wonderful jam. So you know, once people realize that, and we've got to do a bit better job of our production and that kind of thing too. So it's a lot of things that have to be brought together before you can have a commercial crop. So we got to kind of wind it up. You try this, and you find the faults with it, and you try and fix them, and the thing winds itself up. But yeah, I think there's going to be potential.
Farming in this province usually has a low profile, but every season sees it becoming more and more a career of choice. Philip Thornley can get very philosophical as to why young people need to look at farming in a different way.
Yeah, I think we tend to think of farming as at the bottom end of some sort of intellectual scale. And I'm trying to remember whether it was Pliny the Elder or Pliny the Younger, but it was one of them who said, where farming is, all the other arts follow. And really, there's so many bits and pieces that you have to bring together that it's an education in itself. You know, everything from paperwork and government programs to the soil under our feet, to the nature of plants and life and how to nurture it, and gambling, what you're doing with the seasons. The amount of maths and science involved here is just horrendous. And for any young person who is interested in facing those kinds of problems, there's enough to keep them happy and challenged here. And I think it's, you know, we kind of need an attitude change that farming is not the bottom rung of the ladder, but is a high calling, and you can do it in rural Newfoundland and absolutely challenge yourself to the nth degree.
Going to a U-Pick is certainly a great way to pass a sunny afternoon with family and friends. And when we come back, Monique Telvin will speak with dairy farmer Robert Walsh about secondary processing and related topics. Now we're off to the studio where Monique Telvin will interview dairy farmer Robert Walsh about secondary processing.
Robert, what role does secondary processing play in the agriculture industry?
It's a huge role for the dairy industry, for sure. Just recently, Brookfield Ice Cream, or Brookfield Dairy, has increased its facility to take on an additional 40-some new employees, to add cream and milk products to their ice cream, which they now market as far as British Columbia. Central Dairies as well will soon be making additions to their facilities where they will process cheese and specialty products up to an equivalent of 12 million litres of milk annually. This also has great benefits for the dairy farmers of the province because of the additional savings in freight, not to mention the long-term employment created from these new facilities.
Is the dairy industry kind of leading the way in secondary processing and indicating what kind of potential exists to develop markets for products manufactured here?
Well, I don't know if we're leading the way, but certainly we've demonstrated the potential that's out there, and the dairy farmers of the province have been fortunate enough to receive a quota from the rest of the country, the equivalent of 30 million litres annually. We're about halfway there to producing those volumes, and that's provided lots of opportunities for people like Brookfield Central, and we're also talking to other interested parties as well. By the time we reach our total volumes, which will probably be around 2015, I would hope that most all of this milk will be processed here, and we will receive the total value added from processing the products here.
Thanks very much, Robert.
Thank you, Monique.
Now here's a sneak preview of next week's show. Vegetable farming is the theme for next week's show. Judy Peddle of Bayview Farms in Lethbridge, Bonavista Bay is part of a farm that has been around for generations. Times change, of course, and one aspect of modern Newfoundland farming is the lack of labor to help with the harvest. Mechanization has helped with this problem, but also helps with others as well. Cyril Fudge of Wooddale in central Newfoundland has long ago made the decision to pump up the volume on his vegetable production. He and his two sons supplied the large supermarket chains with produce. In order to be a part of this process, you have to be willing to grow tractor-trailer loads of vegetables in order to compete with mainland corporate farms. Then it's back to Lethbridge, where we will visit the farm of Casey Robertson. Marketing and innovative crop production are the main ingredients to this successful farm. By combining traditional crops with new experimental ones, this farm has been able to come up with a formula that seems to attract a steady flow of customers to its roadside market. Monique Tobin will be back with guest Anne-Marie Whalen. Anne-Marie will address the topics of consumer awareness, trends, and alternative crops. Obviously, important issues in this ever-changing industry. Well, there you have it. We'll see you next week. I'm your host, Roger Maunder.